Hello again, and welcome to one of my COVID time offices as I've been reworking a lot of the material for this course. You'll have to pardon my car, but no office access, and I have 4 kids and a dog in the house, so not conducive to video recordings. Anyway, I wanted to kind of introduce this unit on Socrates, the apology, and leading into kind of what is right conduct. Are ethics objective or relative? We're going to go more deeply into the objective versus relative over the next couple of weeks. I've posted the discussion board link on that at the bottom of this week's unit, but those posts are not really going to be due until the end of week 4. So we'll have 2 full weeks after this week to work on that. So don't, like, if you have time and you want to start on the objective versus relative discussion board, the material will be here. I'm doing it this way because for some of you the Plato readings may be really hard, and for others it may not. So if you just kind of breeze through the Plato readings, I'm glad for you to go ahead and get a jump on the next stuff. If you struggle more, if it looks like people are struggling as I get your answers to things, I may make another video just to try to kind of walk you through at least some of the readings. Socrates is a key figure. Plato was his student, who is the main way through which we know about Socrates. One modern philosopher, Whitehead, said that all of Western philosophy is a footnote to Plato. That's how important Plato's writings are. In fact, when you read Plato, you can find things that sound like Nietzsche, who was an late 19th, early 20th century philosopher. You can find things that are questions that David Hume brought up in the 17th, 18th century. So he writes in dialogues. They're people discussing with each other, debating. This kind of what they call the enluncus, this discussion back and forth, asking questions, seeking definitions, that process. Socrates, as you'll see, didn't write anything. Plato wrote for him. And interestingly enough, one of Plato's dialogues where Socrates is debating with someone is about the problems of writing, philosophy especially. For Socrates, philosophy needed to take place in discussion, which is why Plato writes it the way he does. He doesn't just tell you, Socrates thought this was true. He had been a playwright before he became a student of Socrates. So he creates these kind of plays, dialogues like you would see in a play, where Socrates is debating with people. You're not just setting down rules, but he's asking questions, he's seeking definition. If you don't understand this going into reading something by Socrates, it can be kind of hard. Now, the readings you have from Plato this week that are Socrates discussions are a little bit more complex. You'll read another one in a couple of weeks when we discuss religion and ethics. That really does look like a play. It'll give you. It's called the Euthyphro. It's named after the main person usually that that Socrates is speaking with. So Euthyphro, when we read the Euthyphro, you'll see it. It looks very much like a play. It'll have Euthyphro's name and what he said, and have Socrates' name and what he said. The 2 you're reading this week are 2 of his not quite as normal writings from Plato. On Socrates' dialogues, you don't get it in that dialogical form of the sense of you have a name, a statement, a name, a statement. In the Apology, he gives you more of a monologue. It really is quite a powerful dramatic tool, because you gain something about the responses of the people around him and the responses of his interlocutors, the people that are debating him. the Apology through Socrates' statements. So it's almost like, excuse me, it's almost like you're listening to one end of the conversation where the person on your end is doing most of the talking, and you get little bits here and there of his response to the other end of like a phone call, right? So if someone was talking on the phone and they're talking like they're doing most of it, and every once in a while they'll pause for just a few seconds, um, and then the other person talks. You don't hear the other person, you just hear Socrates. But Plato does an incredible job because you gain most of what's going on, and so the Apology is more of a monologue where Socrates has been brought up on trial, um, supposedly for believing in other gods and um, corrupting the youth. So those are the charges he's answering. Um, so he's oftentimes they accuse him of atheism. In the ancient world, atheism didn't necessarily mean a belief in no God. It often meant a denial of certain key gods. So just to make that clear, understanding, some early Christian philosophers looked at Socrates as kind of a pre-Christian thinker, because Socrates is brought up on charges of atheism when he's obviously talking about a messenger from God being the reason for what he does. Early Christians in the Roman Empire were persecuted and slaughtered, sent to the lions, put in the Colosseum on the charge of atheism. Now, Christians didn't deny the existence of God. They denied the existence of the Roman gods, and they refused to worship Caesar as a god. So those early Christian philosophers saw in Socrates something of a kindred spirit. Socrates is in conflict to some degree with the Athenian system of gods, but he does believe in spirit and a god of sorts. And so that becomes clear in the Apology. But he's addressing his accusers. He doesn't seem to be so interested in winning or saving his own life as much as he is in trying to complete his calling. And his sense of a calling, his vocation, is he believes he has a messenger from the God to tell him how to behave, and that because of the oracle at Delphi, which you'll hear about in the short lectures below this, he has the understanding that he needs to kind of stir up and egg on the people of Athens to be better people. He calls himself a gadfly. It's this picture of a little fly keeping a horse awake so that the horse can't fall asleep. His claim is that the city of Athens has fallen asleep, that they are ethically and morally becoming more and more corrupt. And that lack of virtue, that lack of excellence in their ethics and in their behavior, is like it's being asleep. It's going to lead to their destruction. They're going to be caught unawares by the realities of the world. So he's trying to wake them up to that. And the key point that he's trying to wake them up to is that many of them think they are wise, but when really they're not. And that's a big part of his claim, is that his wisdom is that he knows that he lacks wisdom. Other people think that they know more than they do. That said, he does have some clear and distinct views and understandings. One of his ethical stances is you should do no harm. This will come out in the end when he makes this radical statement that it's better to suffer an injustice than it is to commit one. Another one is that the most important part of you is your soul, and that you should keep your soul healthy. He's not like it's not that he hates the body or doesn't want to be healthy or happy or have money. He sees those things as can be goods, but if they get in the way of a healthy soul, then they're problematic. So that's kind of what drives him. Are those ideas? So you'll see that more in the short lectures there are for you to watch, and then as you read the Apology, and then there's the first chapter part 1 in your textbook is a portion of from Plato's Republic, where he delves into why it's better to suffer injustice than to commit it. But clearly, where this is going to take us is that Socrates, as Plato presents him, believes that ethics are objective. There is a real, true, honest-to-goodness, objective ethics to the world. There is virtue. There is things that are right and things that are wrong, and you should seek to know what is right. So we will delve into that more at the end of this module, and really as we get into modules weeks 3 and 4, we'll be looking at this idea of objective ethics.